Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today for Venture Houston 2023, hosted by HX Venture Fund.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for coming together. I know it's going to take a few minutes as we pull together after lunch. I know there's also been some fantastic networking going on, which is important, but we're ready to continue the conversations, which I hope you've enjoyed so far, and this one nonetheless. So I want to introduce to the stage, if you want to come out, Emily Hack from Insperity. As you guys have heard me say many times, we're deeply grateful to Insperity for their Emerald sponsorship, an amazing company that understands the entrepreneur's journey when it comes to human capital management. So I encourage you to get to know Insperity. But also my friend Craig Wilson. Craig here is Managing Director of NYU's Tandon Labs, flown in from New York to join us and share his expertise in ecosystem development. He's a many-time founder and operator in the climate space as well, and an adjunct professor at NYU. As well, of course, Gaurab Chakrabarti, CEO of Solugen. So grateful for Gaurab's ability to join us. As you guys all know, Solugen is decarbonizing the chemicals landscape, about a $2 billion company now, $350 million plus on the venture cap table. This is going to be a really exciting conversation. So with no further ado, Emily.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? All right. Glad we made it through lunch, and hopefully the food coma has not set in, because we have some incredible entrepreneurs to share their stories. The topic today is Houston's journey to energy transition, and with Gaurab, which I asked him how to pronounce it, and he said a lot of people call me G, so I may call him G today. Yes. But he is the founder of one of our Houston unicorns, and really growing up, I always, for sure knew that faster, better, cheaper, you could have 2 out of 3. And G has managed to, marry biology and petrochemistry to actually crack the code. So excited to hear his perspective on it. And as well with Craig, coming out of New York, Craig, maybe we can start with you. New York has developed over the last decade to become significant entrepreneurial ecosystem. What does Houston need as we're developing? We've heard in a lot of panels this morning about getting set up with the ION and different incubators. What do you think that you've learned in New York that we can hear and transfer this direction?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so, first of all, thank you for having me here, and I'm really grateful to be here. And it is ironic that a New Yorker would be telling everyone else what they should do.
Classic New Yorkers.
So apologies for that in advance. But what I will say is that there are things that made New York really great and has made it a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem, because a decade and 15 years ago, this wasn't the case. New York was a finance town. New York was an advertising town. It was not an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And the things that helped it develop are a lot of the things that I think Houston is really well set up specifically for the energy transition and climate tech. One of those things, and it's been echoed by a lot of the panelists here already, one of them is talent, the other one is capital, the other one is strategic partnerships. And I think where Houston has incredible opportunity is in, as we were talking just before this, Rice has an incredible chemical engineering department. There's incredible talent here. There's NASA, there's Rice, there's University of Houston. You're close to the University of Texas, Texas A&M. Houston is an epicenter there. And so what I think Houston really needs, and I was talking to Cody Sims of My Climate Journey earlier today, is Houston needs that Union Square Ventures of Houston. They need that first check, higher profile investor who is Houston-based, Houston first, and wants to put as much capital as possible into energy transition and climate tech companies. Houston is blessed with an incredible amount of CVC, an incredible amount of late-stage capital that is perfect for energy transition companies and their capital-intensive needs. But I think what it really could use is a lot more early-stage investors. I know there are many here in the audience, and so all I would say is more.
And hence why We are all here in support and gratitude of HX Venture Fund in their initiative and their mission to bring the capital in earlier stages so that we don't have to have folks leaving to go find the capital elsewhere and hopefully come back, as you did, G. So tell us a little bit about...
I think that's the secret.
Yeah?
Yeah, take the money from the other places and bring it back here. That's what
Go grab it and bring it.
I think the reality was, like, when we started the company, we were in Dallas. We basically had this little lab behind Love Field Airport, which ended up being a meth lab. That's a different conversation. Yeah, not because of us, but we just like rented like this little like corner of it. And I remember thinking, like, no investor is going to want to come here and see, you know, what we're doing. So what we decided to do is we went through this program called Y Combinator in San Francisco, and that's where I think we were able to get people captivated by what the future of chemical products could be. It was only in Silicon Valley, at the time at least, where people were excited by that, right? If we had tried to pitch some of that at the time in 2017 Houston, I think a lot of people would say this is weird, right? Like, this is like, there's no way you're gonna beat this Dow BASF behemoths, right? Mm-hmm. So there was like this distance that we had from the epicenter of it that allowed us to really get people excited from the fundamentals of what chemistry can be, right? But then we realized if we ran the company in San Francisco, we would run out of money within 2 months. So that was like the reality of building a hard tech business. And we said, well, we've got this funding. Now let's bring it back to a place where it can go and extend very far where our customers live. And that happened to be Houston. So moving forward, I think, yes, we can have definitely more capital like based in Houston, but I think the reality is we need to have more of you entrepreneurs, go out and look at what the coasts are looking for, get money from there and bring it back here. Like, it's the most practical way to do it without having to reinvent a whole ecosystem, in my opinion.
And then companies like Fervo, when they're at a certain stage and continuation of capital in the industry here, I think Carmichael said it very well this morning. It was like, if it's energy, it has to be in Texas. It just has to be.